I joined the military at 21. Everything is fine. I consider myself a really good sailor, and I had to do my annual exam. They realized, okay, so you have mitochondrial disease. You're not processing energy properly. Your muscles are being depleted from the fuel. That became like it's a career ender. At that point, the Navy and I had to part ways in good terms. There was a doctor that said, oh yeah, within 3 to 5 years, you should be in a wheelchair or dead.
How long ago was that?
That was 8 years ago.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Be Frank Podcast. Podcast dedicated to you, brought it to you guys to learn, inspire, be happy through fitness and health and fitness. And then hopefully you guys can learn something about physical health or mental health or spiritual health from today's episode. Today we have a special guest, and then I know him for a long time, and then we can talk about a lot of stuff. He's a veteran. Also, he does computer programming. He does it all, kind of. So let's welcome guest Sam.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, this is a first.
First podcast?
I mean, yeah.
Nice,
Not like
nice.
that. Like we started our little thing, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you were talking about, because like I know you for a while, and then when like you're always like nice to me, you're always like positive person, and like hey, like I think that like a power of like a catching up with people, because most people say hey, like most people like for a while, and then they don't work together or they don't do stuff together, like they don't really say hey, like Sam, how are you doing? Like that's kind of hard to do, right? Like but you just like literally randomly text me, say hey, Yosuke, like how you doing? Like that means a lot to me. So like do you do that a lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I joke with a lot of my friends like something happened when I was born, because I fell or something, or like something happened. But I have this like weird, I don't know if it's weird, it's just like this interest on people's lives, right? So it's like maybe a lot of my life, like I felt inadequate sometimes, right? I think a lot of us feel that way at some point or another.
Yeah.
But like asking people like, hey, how are you? And in reality, what I'm asking is like, how are you living? And it's like, somebody once told me, it's like, Sam, you spend your life, like everybody's in this bus, right? And we're like sightseeing and experiencing, and you're the dude that is walking all over the bus. It's like, hey, how is your trip? How is your trip? Instead of just sitting and enjoying your own trip, right?
Yeah.
And I found like making a balance of like asking of that, like, how is it going, man? Like for real, like how is it going? And like also doing your own thing, like having your own beat, basically, is just magical. It's life. It's what I call life.
But do you have a list of things that like okay, once a week I'm gonna reach out to people, or like you just like randomly think of it, just text?
No, I think it just comes genuinely.
Okay.
The other way around, I actually kind of disappear a lot with like. That's another thing. So I get over focused on projects, right? Or going through some personal stuff, or dealing with like my medical condition, and when things get like really cloudy, I don't like to bother people with what's going on with my life, which is something I probably need to work on consistently more. You know? But when it comes like naturally, like I go to a gas station, right? And one of my friends, he runs the shop right now, William Moore. He says, Sam, there's no stranger for you, huh? And I guess, like if I go to a gas station and I truly want to know, like, how is your day? And I'm not just saying that like to be nice. It's just like, how is your day? Like, I know what it is to be working in service, and a lot of people treat you like you're lesser than.
Yeah.
And because of that, it also has like, things happen in life, like just like you're saying, like I didn't realize, like me asking Jessica, how are you, was it something that you actually care for,
Yeah.
But naturally, because of that, sometimes I have run into people, great friends. The partnership that I have right now, my AI business stuff, is because I went to a gas station, and I met this beautiful lady, and then I met her husband, and one time I was in a lot of pain. I forgot, like, what can I do that is not weed? Because weed is what, like, lately, what the only thing that actually helps that is not like um, narcotics and stuff like that. I'm not into that stuff. So they're in like from India, so they have like other natural health products that and they brought it, bro. Like they brought me product from India to try, and see if it helps, and just like that. And next thing you know, I met one of their partners, and we clicked. And then he went through like health stuff, and it happened that I've been going through health stuff. My wife works in healthcare, and my parents are going through health stuff.
Yeah.
So like it was like we found each other, and then we started talking. And as I look back in life, I do see like just being you and truly being interested in people's life. Like,
I love
what's
that.
up?
I mean, just being positive, trying to help people, and then everybody will try to help you.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, sometimes you get burned. Yeah, right. So, because no, it's like
But like people doesn't know about if you may like if you can share your like health
oh yeah, yeah,
condition stuff like you been going through or like like if you can explain
yeah,
so
yeah.
that they have a context.
So, okay, so is a kind of a little bit of a mystery. We're still trying to figure out what really is going on, right? And I think medicine is coming far and closer to figuring out, right? But we don't know if it's genetic, because my mom I'm originally from Dominican Republic. I was born in Dominican Republic, grew up big part of my life in Puerto Rico, and we were, like exposed to a lot of chemicals. We were not wealthy
Yeah.
whatsoever. My family struggled. They worked hard. They started businesses, and then it worked out, right? It worked out, and that gave me that outlook in life of that, right? So that there's that part. So we don't know if it has to do with like family, genetics per se. Normally it's genetics, but I joined the military at 21. Everything is fine. I consider myself a really good sailor, like efficient sailor. Never, never caused the Navy anything that would make the Navy look bad or the other way around. I tried to always support the Navy. Like it was my life. I wanted to do 30 years in the Navy.
Right.
Like people normally ask, like, how long are you gonna be in? Like, are you getting out? I was like, nah, man, I'm gonna be admiral and all that. But then it just happened, and like I was stationed in a medical center, which is like the craziest things of life, right? Because I was aviation, I wasn't supposed to be there. As I'm doing there, then they give me the opportunity to work with drug and alcohol program advisor, which is like you help people that have drug and alcohol dependencies,
Yeah.
in the military, which happens,
Yeah.
right? And
So you were like a counselor?
so I wasn't like counseling directly. So, but the intake, like doing the interviews, following up with them, we were like their advisor. Like,
Oh, gotcha.
let's make sure that you're taken care of. We also did a lot of training. So like, the training was a lot of like the military saying, hey, there's sexual assault sometimes happen because of alcohol involvement. It doesn't say that it doesn't take responsibility for the person, but when there's alcohol, there's a higher risk, things like that. So like we will do training to all the sailors because we have sailors from probably like from everywhere, and from all ages, like 17 years old, 18 years old. First time outside of a small town where they have 5,000 people and they knew each other, and now you're like San Diego,
Right. Yeah.
And on top of that, you have to perform, and you don't get much room for error, right? In the military, many times. So we have that. We have these programs to help the sailor, guide the sailor, and also hold their hands when they fall. Most of the time, like a lot of time when they do go through this process, if it's like they got like drugs, they have a zero tolerance for drugs. So like before 30 years old, before my condition, I never try weed, any type of the other way around. I was like, why would you do that?
Right.
That was like very naive on that. I don't know. I didn't see that side.
Right.
So one time I'm doing this program, and we had a lot of activities that we were doing. We started doing like these campings that we will take them out. It's basically a summit where they have activities, but at the
Yeah.
same time they train. And it became a big hit for the Navy, and they started doing it all over the Navy, right? And the leadership decided that I was good enough of a sailor to become like like a representative, like a sailor of the year type of deal. That never, to this day, doesn't click, like why, but it did give me a little bit of pride. Like I came as an aviation guy, the Hispanic guy with an accent and all this stuff to a hospital
Yeah.
and basically compete with all that. And in truthness, all I was doing was, if what we're talking about, is like I was truly interested in people like, how come alcohol got a hold of you?
Yeah.
Right? And not judging. Like I truly wanted to know, like, because I saw a lot of the times, like, yo, this guy is just like me. Like, I'm like a step away from having the same issue,
Yeah.
And it like really opened my eyes. That's how and I am a believer of like God, like there's something that has to be bigger in my personal truly belief than us. But as I'm there and they're saying like, oh, you're the sailor, you can do anything that you want to do in the military. One day, I wake up, I went to use the restroom. Thank God my wife was going to nursing school, and I decided to use the restroom. My urine was like a Dr. Pepper. Ignorance, Navy, macho, all
Right.
that. I'm like, oh, I need to drink water. I was like, it looks like a Dr. Pepper. I was like, that's not funny. That's
Right.
not even funny, right?
Right.
And I was like, no, for real. And she's like, you need to drink water, and I need to see next time. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, whatever. We got in an argument basically because she's like, you have to go to the doctor, because she saw it. She was like, we have to go to the doctor now. Once again, in the military, you don't want to get sick, especially if you're trying to go to a special program. That can hinder like the way you want to go. And it's
Gotcha.
one of those things. Like, it's a wild card of life. Just
Yeah.
like any disease can throw a monkey wrench in your
Yeah.
plans, right? So at that point, that's where it starts. We didn't know what's going on. I was really tight, muscles tight, and all that stuff. And it's basically what they call rhabdomyolysis. My muscle was breaking down too fast, clogging the tissue. Basically, clogs your whole system, and you can go on renal failure. So you start having kidney issues and all that kind of stuff. Hence the dark
Wow.
urine. At first, they're like, oh well, you have been working out a lot more. Maybe that's what it is. But it didn't make sense to me. It was like, I didn't work out that much. I just worked out, Next thing you know, they put me in like what is called light duty. And I was just working in an office. I started doing cybersecurity within the military, which I love that part too. And I had to do my annual exam. And when annual exam came, they realized that my CK level, like creatine kinase score, I believe, that was really elevated. It was like elevated, like the normal will be 400, 800, you're double, 2,000, you should be hospitalized. That's how they explained it to me. I had 35,000 for no reason.
35,000.
For no reason at that
Wow.
point, and that wasn't the highest I have ever had. But at that point, they're like, okay, so what did you do? I was like, oh, I did my physical readiness test, but like, that's nothing. The physical readiness test should be something that you're able to pass easily. Like,
Yeah.
not easily, but should be able to pass,
Yeah.
right? And that was 2 weeks prior. So I was probably with this that whole time. And if I didn't have my physical exam at that point, then I would have missed that my CK was a high, right? So at that point, they realized, okay, you have a condition, and that started the whole situation. Like, they're trying to figure out, okay, is it a neurological? Do you have ALS? Do you have this? Do you have all kinds of stuff was flowing,
Right.
And then finally, they did these muscle biopsies, right? They take muscle, and they realize, okay, so you have mitochondrial disease. You're not processing energy properly. Your muscles are being depleted from the fuel, and like layman's term, I guess, they was explained that way. And from there, I go work out. What I'm doing is the same thing that we do when we work out. We're trying to break down muscle.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm breaking down muscle on steroids, basically. That's like fast, like breaking down too fast. So it's the same thing that will happen to somebody that goes and tries to do a marathon and hasn't trained properly for it. Somebody that has an accident, for example, and has like muscle damage. They have a high level of CK. So that became like, it's a career ender, So at that point, the Navy and I had to part ways in good terms,
Yeah.
but we had to ways, and that then trigger a bunch of other stuff like mental health, like
So
learning.
that when
Yeah.
you got a diagnosed, were you like not be able to move anymore, or like?
Oh yeah, so there was a doctor that said normally if you are born with mitochondrial disease, by the time that you're 13, 15, that's about you don't make it that long, because like you keep breaking down muscle, and it's everything that has muscle too. It's like your lungs, your heart. It could be like your brain. So like that has to be something careful. Like just think about like everything that has muscle. So it's like with mitochondrial disease is not the best outlook if you have it as a kid, you know. But then as of late, for what I understand, a lot of adults have been getting diagnosed with mitochondrial disease, But then I don't know if it's the data is not there or what, but they say like they're like, oh yeah, within 3 to 5 years you should be in a wheelchair or dead, or 10 years, but we'll say. So when they told me that, that's all I heard, So it's like
Damn.
that's it. It's like, but once again, it was a blessing in disguise. It's like one of those things where
How
like
long ago was that?
that was 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
So
Damn.
so yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like it was a blessing in disguise. That took me through the whole process. Like all of a sudden you're taking payments. I did not like that. The way I would describe it is like you're alive, and I say that like, but you're not living. You're like
So
kind of
like
dull.
you can. You
With
couldn't.
payments, with the payments at first in the military, like they tried to keep me in, like the way I see it is like they tried to keep me in because like you just won like Sailor of the Year for this whole region and all this stuff, and it's like all of a sudden they're gonna say, hey, medically discharged, So I don't know if it was that, or truly, my desire, because I really was like, I don't want to leave the military. Find me something. They put me through all kinds of treatments. One that's called FRPP, like functional restorational pain program. And there I learned from mental health to, it was not just the physical part, like to like having to do like yoga, to stretching properly, like as silly as that sounds it's true. And I learned a lot about my body, my spirit there. But at the end of the day, the tests, are the tests, and it says, it's not good. It's not good to have muscle breakdown like that and deploy a guy on a ship that is
Yeah.
gonna need bags upon bags of, saline water to hope that he gets better, and so it's not good. So I had to retire, and that was like good. Now I look back, I'm like, that was a blessing in disguise. But back then, it's like I lost everything. And
Yeah, a bit like
everything. Like,
I mean, identity crisis and all that,
oh,
right?
yeah. Like, talk about, you see yourself in the future, right? And I did. And it was like,
You saw in the future like you being in the military.
right.
Yeah.
And like, I'm working hard for this. And like,
Yeah.
I'm changing, I'm helping people and stuff, So like, you have that too. And it's like, and it's honorable. And it's what I dreamed from being a kid,
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to serve. And all of a sudden, it's like completely out of your control. Like,
Yeah.
totally out of your control. And
Yeah.
you're hoping that one of these doctors is like some sort of Einstein,
Was that more that issue rather than like, hey, you might die?
Oh, well, that you might die was like, it, it was like, what?
Right. Right.
like, wait, are we dying?
Right.
Like, that was like surreal.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, I feel for every person that is told like, hey, your prospects in the futures are not great, But
How did you go through that?
I had to learn that we are all dying. I had to learn that. I had to learn that we are all slowly dying, right?
Like, is
from
that
the
like
moment that we're
how
born.
did you get to that point?
Pain, kind of pain, not gonna lie. A lot of people, like the same people that at one point you say, hey, how are you? Now they're tell you back like, hey, you got this, Sam. It's like, don't be ashamed of what's happening. You know, like I have people that told me, don't hide it, because I used to like pretend that everything is fine, right? Or like I'm just out and this and that. And then there will be people that's like, don't hide it, because you don't ever know the person that is out there like going through stuff. And then you tell them like, hey, they told me I'm dying, but look at me, like everything's fine, you know. And when that happens, I think when that happened, I started trying it, and that opened doors that I'm here in front of you because of that kind of decision. You know, like I didn't want to go camping once, you know, with my family. It was the desert, and I was in pain, and I'm sitting there like moping. It's a Wednesday. This camping is on Friday, and I'm moping about the fact that I'm in so much pain right now, you know, and I'm limping, and I have the cane, and my wife wants to go with the kids camping in the desert of California, you know, and it sounds like a great idea, but I'm gonna just make it horrible for everybody. So I'm like future telling all this stuff 2 days out, right? And I go to this person, and I'm like, yo, what? Like, I don't want to tell her like, screw you and go with the kids, and I want to be there, but I also don't want to screw it up. And she just asked, Sam, are you in pain right now? I was like, yeah, obviously. She's like, do you think you're gonna be in pain tomorrow? More likely than not. And then she's like, what about Friday? You gonna be in pain? It's like, yeah. It's like, if you still have to deal with the pain no matter what, and you're able still, why not try it? That's all there is. Why not try it? At least go. And if you have to be vulnerable, you be vulnerable. If you have to stay in the campsite while they go do all their stuff, at least you're there, you know? Well, this is who you are now, you know? And you cannot hide away from like life because of what you're going through. There's pain and there's suffering, right? And that clicked. It was like, oh, shoot. Yeah, you can be in pain. Like, I'm in pain. And then I can be like, oh my God, I'm in pain and suffering for it.
Right.
You know, like, my life is so bad. Why God? You know, like, and, you know, like all that stuff.
That's beautiful though. Yeah.
But like, so you have people like that.
Yeah.
And then I guess like being in that situation was like, okay, well, okay, cool. And I went. And when I went, there was this gentleman that was there, and he was in a project. And that project was called mygoodname.com, and he just needed a programmer, and he started asking me questions, and next thing you know, we started collaborating. He lived not even 30 minutes from my house, and even though we found each other hours away from our houses, you know, so had I not gone, the people with Facebook for the VR is because of it was his partner. It was,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? So like, had I not said yes to life, basically, right? I guess I would have missed out, and I think that was the hardest part. Is realizing like, yes, you can be in pain, yes, life's sucky, but then I would tell anybody like, if you're going through that, think of the life as a video game, and think that you just picked hard mode, and
Hard mode.
that's it. You picked hard mode. Most people have standard mode, you know, and they have issues, and everybody has issues, right? But if you're that, like, have all that, it's like I just pick hard mode, you know, and that's my video game, and I'm gonna do the best, honestly. Now, all this that I'm saying right here sounds like, oh wow, Sam, like good for you. No, man, like it was through a lot of cries and like dark moments, like you're by yourself sitting there, like, ugh, like I don't know. But there's
A
always
hard
those
mode.
people.
Yeah, hard mode, and then you have to have a rest mode too, right?
Yes.
Like how do you deal with when you can push yourself and then when you're not? You know what I mean? Because I think that I've been kind of had a close people in my life have been going through like illness or something, right? To try to encourage people to say, hey, let's go do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like maybe like they might just be on the couch that's the best thing they right now, right? So like how would you balance that?
Shoot. I that's a good question. I'll say the ideal answer will be balance, finding balance. But that sounds simple, I think. But to this day, I'm still trying to find balance.
Yeah.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
You know, like yourself, like, you know, do you go through pains and things like that, right? How do you deal with it? Sometimes we have these ideas and this, I think like that's another thing. It's like this ego or like this identity but we're like, I need to be strong all the time. And there are times that you do have to find the balance and be not strong.
Yeah, and then like honestly, like I was listening to the different podcast the other day, and then the concept is there is a whenever you're going through hard times or whenever you're pushing yourself to be the hardest, right? It's there is like all in, like people can go all in, or you can be all consumed.
That, oh wow.
You know,
Yeah.
so like all consumed meaning like for example, I'm training for a marathon or something.
Hmm.
I think about running when I wake up, and then I run. I get exhausted. My work suffer. My relationships suffer. I'm eating, not eating, or whatever, and then all my life is consumed by the goal of the things I'm doing, so that everything, every aspect of my life suffers because of the consequences of what I'm doing. That's all consumed. But all in is like, well, I'm doing training a marathon. I'm gonna run from this time to this time. I'm gonna suffer this time. But other than that, I'm gonna work on work. I'm gonna do the relationship right. And then like do like not do every single thing doesn't have to be a one thing to all consumed by one thing for the life. So you can go all in, but you don't have to be all consumed. I thought that was very nice way to put it.
That's awesome, actually. I might steal that. So I was like, who do I need to give credit to? Because like, um, I think my wife will say like, one of the things like is hard is like, uh, I get consumed. I get focused on something, you know, and like sometimes it's hard for me to let go of this part that I'm doing and also make sure that like I have kids, right? And I have my
Yeah.
wife and friends and family and so on. And finding that balance is, I think that's why I can say in this moment in life, like is I feel very joyful. I wouldn't say like happy, you know, like,
Yeah.
but like I find joy in life mostly now because I have a good partner first, you know, like a really, really amazing partner, you know.
Right.
So the parts that I miss, she reminds me of. She tells me, hey, we're lacking here, we're lacking there. So that listening helps me find that balance, you know. And most of the time now I have that balance. But there's like sometimes like with the AI stuff that we're working on, and sometimes we're working on something and it feels like it's moving fast and like I have to put the noise out, but at the same time I get so over focused that I can spend 2 days straight not even spending much time with my family in general, even though I'm very close, you know. So yeah, like I love that. I love that, bro. Like I'm gonna take that. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully that helps, and I think that helps kind of
I
my
love you. Don't
myself
get
to.
consumed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's important. And then I was curious because like the last time I saw you at the I think event, and you helped me out to, printing out T-shirts and stuff, and I remember you were having a cane,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
then like walking, and then I just didn't want to ask there because like I don't know, like I'm weak or not. I mean, like obviously I can see it, you're in pain or whatever, but I know you had like some sort of condition, but like I didn't know what exactly. So like I'm like, well, maybe that's not good to ask. So I was my the now like you just walked into this office without the cane, so I'm assuming like you're getting better, right?
Right.
So like my question is to like whenever you see people like sometimes like my end like maybe this is not good to ask. Say, hey, I see you're in cane. What's going on? Like, how are
Mm.
you doing? Is that a good thing to ask from the other side of third party perspective? Or like, if they bring it up, listen, like, what is the best way to communicate
Bring
or
that up.
interact with the person? You know what I mean?
I think, yeah, that's an also. I don't think many people have ever asked me that. Um, it's individual. I think it's individual. So I don't think I can answer that question per se for everybody. Like what's best? I think it's individual. The way that I see it today, I will state the obvious. Like if you have a cane, you have a patch in your eye. I don't know if it will be the first thing that I ask you. Say, well, what happened to your eye? But I would bring it up. I would probably ask. At some point in my life, at some point when this started, I remember my sister-in-law once asked me, it's like, "How you doing?" And then my wife asked me, "How you doing?" And then I came home again. It's like, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, I was in the mind frame at the moment. I was like, I'm dealing with this. I'm consistently trying to tell myself, like, oh my God, you're in pain. Keep working, keep doing it, though. Like this and that. And it's like this constant battle. And like when all of a sudden when they asked me, it was like I used that as like, oh, you're reminding me of it. So I was in that weird mindset where it's like,
Because you're thinking about it.
right. So
Yeah.
like to a point, like I was trying to find blame that why, like whatever my
But isn't
condition
that
is,
crazy though? Because if somebody was not asking you,
then you
you'd be
get
like,
pissed off.
yeah, they're like, why you not
Right,
asking me?
right. And that's exactly it. Like, and then what happens is like I was like, hey, can you guys like stop?
Yeah,
But then it stopped.
yeah.
And then I was in a lot of pain, and I borderline like it's like they're like, oh, would you like to do this or the other? I was like, you don't see me, And then it's like, okay, Sam, time out. You have to figure out like what's up. And
Yeah.
then what I realized is like what's going on with me. I'm like we are character in each other's life, right? So like I'm just your friend that we know from a while ago, and I happen to be here in the podcast, honored to be here and all that, but like supporting what you're doing. I'm just a character to your life, right? To my life, you're the character, it's my friend that I can go now and say like, oh yeah, his podcast and this and the other stuff that he's doing, and we haven't caught up forever. So like I see that, right? Like we're characters in each other's lives.
Yeah.
So as a character of my wife's life, I don't want to be the guy that is consistently like, because you didn't do this or the other, I feel this way all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's like it shouldn't depend on her. It should like I have control on that, right? But it's a lot easier to said than done.
How do you deal with that?
Well, just be. At this point, we just try to tell each other like what's going on.
Like for real.
Yeah, just what's going on.
Yeah.
We try to remember to connect. We try to, and that's on the, having a partner. But as a family, friends, I'm just, instead of looking at my friend that says, Sam, you should take a break, because I'm always trying to go, as a, like, oh, they're trying to stop me, I see it more like, that's how he shows that he cares for me, And that's a beautiful thing to maybe convince yourself of, that people are actually just trying to truly be interested in you like I am in people,
Right.
But for some reason, sometimes I felt like not many people are interested in each other.
Yeah.
And I felt myself like many times was like, I think a lot of my life, like I looked at myself like a victim. Like I will, things like, oh, I'm just different, this and the other. And it's like, maybe I'm crazy, maybe this, maybe the other. And I realized it's like, everyone is kind of like,
Crazy.
a little bit
Yeah.
of crazy, a little bit sane, a little bit just trying,
Yeah.
and a little bit of product of their environment and what they identify with,
Yeah.
like the ideas if you wake up and the first thing that you're doing is watching news, in my opinion, you might not have the easiest morning, because it's like news is kind of
They're
like a little,
consuming the bad energy. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
it's like energy, that would deal, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So like, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but like,
Yeah. I
I
think
will say,
so.
I will say ask.
Yeah.
I will say ask. Yeah.
Yeah, and
'Cause-
they're asking them probably nicely to care about other person. I mean, honestly, that I was reading a book about cancer. It's called Radical Remission. If somebody is going through like cancer or something like that, then I totally 10 out of 10 recommend that book. But there is a section. I didn't have a cancer, but like like I was just like, well, there's a like it's just a decent sized book, maybe 250 pages, 300 pages book, right?
Mhm.
And then half of a page explain if you are person who are dealing with somebody your significant other is dealing with this sickness, here's what you need to do. That's like half a page. But it says you're trying to help. It takes two ways. You're giving, but somebody has to receive.
That's true.
somebody probably sometime don't want to receive.
That's true.
If you're giving them, you're paying rather than the pleasure, whatever.
I will say from my personal experience,
Yeah.
I've been there, you know,
Yeah.
in the receiving end where people are trying to basically love me,
Yeah.
you know, and show that they care, and I'm like, you're intruding,
Yeah.
you know, and that's just on me. That was on not on them ever, you
Yeah.
know, and that's like. It's state the obvious. I mean, if you do have a cane, you have a cane. What's up? Like, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's all there is. Now, if it's something that that person bothers them, I mean, I think they will grow to be like, I don't like talking about it type of deal. You know, like
Yeah.
that's it.
I think like sometimes I have been realizing, but I think I'm still working towards that. You know, like whenever I try to help somebody or like somebody try to help me or whatever, I get to the situation as well. But whenever I try to help somebody, even like I'm trying to like, even like client, right? Like client
Mhm.
relationship, I'm talking to them. They're not happy. They're not happy about their business, their stuff or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like mad and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, that's them. I don't have to suffer my day because of their suffering, or like even like significant other relationship, whatever. You can be helpful, but you don't have to be miserable together.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right, right.
So
So are
like,
you like an empath type of deal? Like I
what
don't
do
know
you
if that's
mean?
what they call it. Like you like take you normally take home like when people are feeling away and they tell you about it, you take it home with you.
Yeah, kind of like
Okay.
whenever they're suffering, I'm like, man, I have to suffer together. You know,
Right,
like
right,
it's just
right.
kind of like, oh, I have to be sad together, or like to show them like I care, and then, you know, be empathetic and all,
Empathetic, yeah.
yeah, that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, I kind of stopped doing that. You
I
know,
hear
like it's
you.
just like, well, you do you, I do me, kind of deal. And then life is easier that way. It's like kind of like you can be say like, well, you like clueless, or like you can say like, oh, you don't care about. No, I do care. I try, but it doesn't work out. It's not my fault, or it's not their fault. It's just the way it is, and then go back around whenever you want to. You know, so that's kind of you're talking about like be honest about it, but I don't really have to be suffer
Right,
because other people are suffering. You
right.
know.
So I do I still do that. I sometimes I'm if like you're my friend, right? And you tell me, hey man, I've been stressing about this or the other. I catch myself quite often in my quiet time or by myself, thinking about over and over what you said, you know, and is there a way that I can help? Is there an angle that we're not looking at here, you
Yeah.
know? So I don't know, like, it's just like I guess like I make bonds with people, you
Yeah.
know. So like we can spend, you know this, and like we can spend years without talking.
Yeah.
And if you come, hey man, I need you to help me push some boxes, you know that if I'm in the area and I will be there, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's just how I am, and I think it does come with at a cost because like sometimes it's like. Well, I have my own problems, you know. Like it's like when I'm thinking about my friend, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that's why I like one of the things about me is like I have always called people brother or sister.
Yeah.
Always, you know, like even in Spanish, I remember saying like, hey brother, and I used to like say it's like my nickname, brother, the brother.
Yeah.
You know, because I do see it's like this idea, I don't know, it just made sense to me. It's like this idea like we are kind of brothers and sisters, you
Yeah.
know, different flavors, different looks, different styles, different whatever you want to call it, you know, preference and ideals. But at the end of the day, I poke you, you're gonna leak. You poke me, I'm gonna leak the same blood, you know,
Yeah.
type of blood. And so I don't know. And I don't know if that like since childhood was there,
Yeah.
and now I'm like that. But I think there's power in like what you're saying. It's like not trying to take home so much stuff,
Yeah.
you know, because
It's just a
I do.
balance, right? It's just
I do.
nobody knows. But so like, what is your muscle condition again? Like
Mitochondrial disease. Mitochondrial. Like,
mitochondrial disease. So like, what? So obviously you're alive,
yeah, yeah.
and then you're here and
I
without the
hope.
cane, right? Like, but like, what did you do to get better?
So,
Or
bro,
can I
that
say
is
get better?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that is the question. I I will say a little bit of an attitude change, like the mindset, a little bit, a lot medicine, you know, a lot of education, like knowing what the condition can like does. And honestly, marijuana, like marijuana, to me, marijuana, like it doesn't take the pain, it doesn't take the muscle issue away. It doesn't. I don't know if it even helps it per se, but if I spend a whole day, you know, when I was starting the business, like the screen printing company, it's Robotees, right? We're doing all this stuff, and you're doing shirts, and you're moving boxes, and this and that. That's not the most ideal thing for me to be doing, like repetitive stuff that breaks down muscle, right? But I will get home, I will smoke, and I don't know if it's like it helps the inflammation or just in general, like you don't care as much about the heaviness of that. Not even localized, because it's not localized pain. It's like kind of like aches everywhere, and like you move, and it's like like and so you don't maybe you don't care as much, you know, and that plus knowing when I have to go to the doctor, and get taken care of, when I have to get my levels checked or walk into the ER, knowing that this is not a game where it's like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow too much, because like it's kidneys. So like when your kidneys start going, I guess they don't give a lot of warning until normally kind of late.
Mm.
So
I mean, that was probably like pee's different color, right?
right,
That's kind of
right. But
yeah.
like by the time that you're being a different color like that, it's normally kind of like,
Yeah.
we don't want that.
Yeah.
And I know, and yeah. So I think it's a combination of things, but I will credit a lot of like marijuana because of like it helps me live, like I don't have to do it all day or every day or none of that. But when it's like it hurts and there's stuff that I have to do and this and the other, yeah, it definitely helps. You know, mental health helped a lot because then having a good, I really think, I don't know scientifically, bro. Like I'm naturally, because of programming, computer science and stuff, like electronics, I like to be more factual than anything. But I don't know if there's facts to like your mindset can help fix your body.
So what did you do to help your mental health?
So between meditation, counseling, and honestly, like finding perspective, like I enjoy my me time. Like that's one thing. Like I enjoy long time. I'm okay with being by myself and my thoughts. And when the thoughts are not the best, I like conquering, like working it through, 'cause
By yourself?
not only by myself, because sometimes we need help.
Yeah.
Like anything else, like the brain is like, somebody told me this, like, and it makes total sense. Like, bro, so like you have a stomach, and if I tell you right now my stomach hurts, you'll be like, oh, let's get some Pepto, like let's do something, right? But if I'm like start saying weird stuff, oh, I have an imaginary friend that I actually see,
Yeah.
or something like that,
Yeah.
this guy is crazy, right?
But I heard that like
I
I heard that like there's a brain in your gut.
That yeah, like and Buddhism and
Like a second like I think second brain or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's why people say follow your gut, right?
right.
Because they have a brain.
It what's funny? Like it makes a lot of sense. Like a lot of like language that we use is like that. It's like when I get nervous, anxious, or something, it's my God. It's always like
Yeah.
in the military. Like I'm not like test taking makes me really anxious. From like when I was a kid, like I never did so great in school,
Yeah.
and it was like this like you're lesser than type of deal. And so it's like I remember in the Navy, like there's a lot of testing going on. And every time it's like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, So I don't know. Like that makes total sense.
So do you still like work out, or do you do like a
So I need to
physical
stay
therapy?
active.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
they say motion is lotion. That's what they used to tell me. Motion is lotion,
Yeah.
and then find balance, because then I start working. Let's say I start working out with you, right? Well, the ego in Sam is like, I can be like Josuke, like,
Yeah.
and I will try to like match you where you are, and that probably is not gonna be the best outcome. So I have had to learn that I am not the Sam that I was 10 years ago, or 8 years ago actually. So that's part of what I'm saying, like the mental health thing. I think in that part is meditation. Like meditation helps a lot, and for me, like,
Do you use anything
what do you mean?
like an app or like listening to YouTube or let's just do it in the silence? Like what? How do you meditate?
Yeah. So do you want me to like put the app names out there?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
okay. So they have these enhanced. So there's a Monroe Institute. They have this like hemisync apps where
Chemisync.
it's like hemisync. So like they put it's the same thing that like a guru, like a yogi will do, I guess. I'm take this with a fine grain, right? So a yogi will normally sit there in meditation, and to a point, like is that is for our understanding is a fact. Like they can see the brainwave becoming a pattern, a very specific pattern, right? And
Uh-huh.
that they can do that through meditation. It's kind of amazing to see, right? But what they figured out a long time ago is like if we put a sound like it's like so many hertz here and like 8 hertz less in the other ear, it creates even though the same is a pitch noise, it creates the
The
same
wave.
waves.
Huh.
So your brain kind of like aligns when you start hearing like whoop 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 whoop, kind of aligns, and it's easier to get you in that mindset. So it's
Like a calm stage.
right. It's like a calm state. It helps you for like the people that do like they call it flow,
Flow
like
stage.
right
Yeah.
flow state. It helps
Yeah.
you with that because like you can put yourself in that stage. It works for me,
What's the
you know.
app called?
So the company is called the Monroe Institute. It's the one that study all that stuff.
Monroe Institute.
Monroe
Is
Institute.
that like an app?
That's an actual like institute, like a company,
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
And then they have the HemiSync app. It's like a
Hemisync.
membership. Everything is membership, right?
Yeah.
So they have a HemiSync app, and then they have another like it's called Expand.
Expand.
But they offer it through their stuff, and they have classes and all that stuff. I haven't been to the classes. I did buy some of the courses, and it's just kind of I like it.
Oh, okay.
Like it has helped me, you know. So that helps. Like that helped me getting into meditation,
Hmm.
full blown. It actually the military helped me get into meditation because I was in Japan.
Really? They do that, huh?
Right. So
Huh.
so it was like a combination, like product of everything.
Yeah.
I was in Japan for years. So in Japan, like you have a lot of Buddha
Yeah.
and meditation in general, right? So I used to go to this town called Kamakura, right? And
Kamakura, yeah.
Kamakura,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, of course. I'm Japanese.
Ada,
Yeah.
ada. So okay, so yeah, so I love Kamakura. I love that Akihabara, and yeah.
Yeah.
So in Kamakura, I have like the big Buddha, and like I
Yeah.
remember seeing people, bro, like they there's like they sit there and like they do these chants, and it's like, what do they know that I don't? That was like my thing. Like that's like different.
Interesting. Yeah.
And like one thing that to me is undeniable is like people that do this a lot. If you look at them, bro, I don't know if I'm just judging, but they look peaceful. They have like this peace within them. Like they sit there, and we can be doing anything else in the world. That's what they could be doing. Like, but they sit there and they meditate on this and they touch this structure and it means so much to them. And I was like, so that kind of like triggered my mind. Like, dude, like there has to be something to this,
Yeah.
right?
It's so funny to me, man, because like I'm from Japan. Like I moved here whenever I was 17, right? And then in Japan, I didn't even think anything about meditation. I
Really?
didn't even think about, okay, like my grandma doing something, like touching stuff, statue, whatever, Buddha, whatever, and then like they didn't like go whatever. Like I just do the process and then like I just don't really think about what's good for me and all that kind of stuff and religion or mental health or meditation. That concept was not in my head at all. Like nobody taught me, but also I wasn't interested at all. Like whenever I came to United States, even like 3 to 5 years ago, like okay, mental health, okay, meditation, right? So it's so funny to me, like when, I guess like outside of foreigner from Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Outside of people coming into Japan, think like, all right, well, Japanese people got it, right? Like they know how to do it. Like I don't think so
Yeah.
because like I was there and then like I was just like maybe some people know, but
Yeah.
like, you know, I think the stereotypical, like, I'm just trying to educate the world here.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, it's interesting to me that, you know, like, that I would love to learn right now, right? So like you take it for granted if you see that stuff all the time in my life, then take it granted. Like just I think maybe like some people can realize that, you know, like don't make a mistake I made, like just like you're saying, like how they doing that, why they doing that, just being curious about what they're doing. Maybe your life can be a lot better and a lot more like a knowledgeable, like, you know, in a sense. So I kind of like find it funny what you're saying, like, man, yeah, I realize that now, like I saw that stuff, and that if I learned how to meditate in Japan, where my zen level would be right now, you know.
Bro, well, I wish I would have gotten there, like into it when we
Yeah.
were there, but then like it was
See, like a
like
case in point, right?
right. So like that's what I'm saying. Like I was really my whole so I did grow okay. So my family we grew up Catholic,
Yeah.
right? So Christianity, Catholicism, that was all I knew,
Yeah.
and borderline like you see a Buddha and it's like okay, there's such a thing as like a Buddha statue, but like you
Yeah,
really
but it's like,
and
yeah,
you're
keeps the
like
links
you're
on.
ignorant, right?
Yeah.
Like I was ignorant. I was like, oh, that's probably like some Asian stuff, literally like some
Yeah.
like from Asia, right?
Yeah.
But then you go. My favorite country in the world is Japan. You know this. I have always told you this. Like my wife and I will move to Japan right now if we
Yeah.
didn't have
You
like
should.
the kiddos or growing up still. But in Japan, one of the things it was there wasn't a lot of like Christianity or none of that,
No,
right?
no.
Yet, I have never met a group of people that are so honorable, And at the same time, so like the first thing, I went out of base. We're in Yokosuka. I'm going to the station,
Yeah.
right? I get
Yeah.
the escalator. I like common Westerner.
Yeah.
I get in the escalator,
Yeah.
right? Right away, a lady came and said, "Sumimasen," and she moved me, and she basically said, like, "Move out of the way so other people can go through."
Yeah.
So we were on the line. I was thinking, "Oh, these people are crazy. Like, why are they just there?"
Yeah.
And little by little, it's like, oh, people's houses are open in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I got lost taking like, oh, let me like. Then I began like the whole like, let's take the train. Let's see
Yeah.
where we can go. But then you get to towns like, they're like they haven't seen people like this, and they're like, what are you doing? But at the same time, I got lost, and this lady walked easily half a mile with me to take me to the train, put everything that I needed to do because I couldn't read what I'm looking at, like
Yeah.
outside of the area, like
That's
like
awesome, yeah.
you can't. She did all that, and then she went back her way, and
Yeah.
then not once was like anything. It was like literally holding my, like I felt like a kid, like holding by my hand.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Come here." Basically, it's like, I don't know how to say it to you, but this is how we do it. And like I learned that, and then the sad part, I come back from Japan, and the very first day, my car gets broken in here in America. So I'm not speaking ill about America either, but like
Yeah.
it's such a different culture. And then
Yeah.
there is the whole. You go to Akihabara, which is an electronic town,
Yeah,
right?
man,
Where
like
everything
otaku
is
culture,
crazy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
my world,
Yeah.
right? But then, not even an hour away, you have Kamakura,
Yeah.
right? Which is like, to me, it was like going back in time and seeing all this, like the structure, the people,
History, yeah.
the history, right?
Yeah.
Like the gardens, like
Yeah.
just the time. And I'm looking at these flowers like, bro, there is a person or people that literally live to do this.
Yeah.
Just so that we can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I started like doing that, and I think that was the thing with Japan. But then when I got here, I got sick.
Yeah.
Like it took time, but then I got sick and I had to go through that program. And in that program, they basically say mind, body, spirit, right?
Mind, body, spirit.
Yep.
Love that.
And then you can work on your body. Your body might be hurting, but your mind is saying, "Oh, you're lesser than because you cannot run like you used to." And then you take that idea and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I'm lesser than because I cannot run like I used to." And now your spirit start hurting, and then like our energy goes down, on all that. So where there I learned like meditation is not just like sitting going, it was like literally trying to look at everything from the inside out, right? It's like start from here, like get to know your breath, hear your heartbeat, like
Yeah.
um, look at those thoughts that are coming in that are just thoughts. It's not you,
Yeah.
it's your brain doing what the brain does, right?
Yeah.
It's like your thoughts.
That's important. Your thoughts are thoughts. It's
Right.
not real.
Oh man, I even started saying to people that I have an imaginary friend named Miguel, and that Miguel is the one that is always talking smack.
Yeah.
So every time like coming here, it's like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna be talking with Josuke about.
Yeah.
Miguel, the imaginary friend, is like, yeah, who are you to be talking to Josuke about this? And it's just thoughts. It's what the
Yeah.
brain is supposed to do. Like, and I think creating that distance helped too.
Yeah.
Like oh yeah, like I hear you, I'm hearing
Yeah.
this, but that's not it. I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
like for sure. I had a great conversation like this, and like you been coming here, man. I mean, I'm honored to have you on here, and then just like I think this was the most conversational. I enjoyed it, you know what I mean? And then like
Oh, that
yeah,
thank you, bro.
I
Thank you. I
think
mean that.
yeah, I think it's just like awesome to like catch up and the people who are genuinely good people shows, in a way. And
You,
then like also that I just want to say thank you for coming, but also like I ended to a question to every guest with a podcast. 2018 was 5 years ago, and then what were you doing? But also, what would you give yourself advice 5 years ago? What advice would you give yourself 5 years ago?
oui. Um, I don't think I'm going. I will. My mind says right now, like, say something beautiful, right?
Yeah, you don't have to.
But no. I think 5 years ago I would have said, Sam. I
What
would
were you
say
doing?
I was working with robotics, pushing it forward, working on the augmented reality stuff. Baby, brand new, you know. It
You're
was a
doing a
lot
lot.
going on, moving. Yeah, like my parents were dealing with like cancer and stuff, so
Yeah.
it was a lot. I think I will say right now, if I went back exactly to 2018, Sam, have more compassion with yourself. I will say that.
I
So
love that.
have more compassion with yourself. So, or in other words, like don't be so hard on yourself. Just you're trying your best. You're trying your best, just like you are, just like he is. Everybody,
Yeah.
like the best we can do. Some of us try to push it a little more, because we're like kind of like, oh, we want to do something with this
Yeah.
in a different way. But I would say, you Sam, just you're good.
I love that.
You're
I
good.
mean, like you have a compassion to
compassion.
others
Yeah.
a lot, and then like compassion to yourself is
Yeah.
important
Be
too.
compassionate with yourself, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
How do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oof. AI world, man.
AI world.
Yeah.
I mean, like you love it, huh?
Oh yeah, you put a computer in front of me, you lose me, right? No, like I think the AI is gonna take over in many areas. I think I'm a little worried in the areas of like, just to wrap it up fast, right? That it's gonna affect a lot of careers, and a lot of people might not be seeing this coming. So my partner and I, specifically, his name is David, want to do is kind of democratize it as much as possible, especially like here in Oklahoma, right? Like how many businesses that are electricians, roofers, you name it, bro. Like what you do. If you weren't like you are right now and you're already using AI to leverage your time, it's gonna be tough times. And it's out there. It's not like if it's coming, it's none of that. And honestly, all it takes is a little bit of time to get familiarized with what's going on, and we have tools. But I feel bad for the accountant that is going through school for accounting right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't know them, I don't know the person, but I feel for them. So in 5 years, I would like to have with my business partner and I and the team to have provided these boogie boards where people can ride that that wave of AI a little better, right? And so that it doesn't become just like the big company has it, and only the huge printing operations can have AI. I
Yeah.
want to make sure that we can thread them all together.
That's
You know,
awesome.
so
Robot
that's where I
thread,
want
huh?
to be there in 5 years.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
mean, like, I think that like AI is gonna change the world, and I think that everything is gonna be easier, and I think people should do some job, but also like, you know, I think everything works out in a way if you're working hard and doing stuff, and then be adapted and stuff, because like like this is always happening, right? Like next generation, and then they're like, oh,
Always.
they're dumb, they think entitled, they're smart, right? Whatever, right? Like whenever like horse, they're riding horse, the car comes, oh, what I'm gonna do, and the horse to like a machine, oh, they're gonna lose a job, right? The machine to the AI. That's the phase we're going through right now. It's gonna work itself out, I think. And then also like like different problems like Japan's facing is like there's no babies coming out. So I guess like we need AI to do that
True.
stuff, right? So is that like a kind of the world is like a get less populated? That's how people solving the problem. I don't know, but
I don't know either,
like
man.
there's a lot of theory and all that bad talk and all that kind of stuff. But if you're alive, if you're doing stuff, world's gonna change regardless. You can't be focusing on like what theory and all that kind of stuff of that the things you can't control. That's
Hmm.
what I would love to just keep my head down, work whatever the best I can, enjoy life, and then maybe if I have a kid or something, that those kid can't worry about those kind of stuff. But if I can create the wealth for them to have a little bit of cushion, I think that'd be nice. But that's all I'm doing with the like try your best, right? That's kind of how
Yeah,
I feel.
yeah. Yeah, I think we're speaking the same. I do feel like it's gonna bring some pain,
Yeah,
but it's what I'm saying. It's what you're saying.
yeah,
It's like let's give them boogie boards so that
yeah,
they can like let's put it out there. Hey, this is happening.
yeah,
Get on it.
yeah,
Um, yeah. But people will adapt. Yeah, I just sometimes like like my pulls places and it's like I fear like when there's a lot of pain in society, normally it's not good.
yeah,
It causes other stuff. I hope that we are able to minimize. I help at least do a little bit of minimizing the pain.
yeah,
And if that's all I am able to do, then cool. If it fails, then just like anything,
yeah.
like how many times do we have to fail? Doesn't matter. We'll keep doing things. Yeah. So I think that you have the message. That's the message. Right? Let's evolve.
Evolve,
Yeah.
yeah,
Move with
move
it.
on, yeah. It's just like the thing is that like I told myself to do things like this and podcasts and stuff. Social media stuff. It's like like I've always thought about myself is I'm gonna do social media, content for other people to help their business. Now look at me, like broken English, and then like maybe like I'm not the most like like a motivational person or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. Like I have a message I want to convey, and then I can do it for myself too. So hopefully people who are listening can get inspired to do the same thing, or they don't have to do this kind of stuff, but I think that you can see somebody's doing something. I think that will inspire, and then like you always have been so positive, so helpful, and it's so nice to other people, and that it's always inspired me, and that I'm honored to
I
have
was
you.
literally gonna say, you inspire me. You, JC, like all you guys, like this, yeah, you guys inspire me. So like, it's an honor for me to be here. I hope I brought some value.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, like, thank you, man. This is cool.
Cool, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
let's keep
Well,
pushing.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please hit the like button, comment, maybe support Sam by go to the link. I'm gonna put the websites and all that kind of stuff. And if you are listening to a platform like a Spotify or iTunes, like those kind of like a like and comments and stuff will help me as well, but also like I do think that this kind of episode is there's somewhere out there need to listen to this kind of episode of what he says, not necessarily what I said, but you know what I mean. So like I appreciate you guys and help the world and help the community. And if you guys don't see me till then, I'll see you guys next Friday. Peace.